Good afternoon. My name is Harold Evans. I'm with the Department of Environmental Conservation. Welcome to tonight's hearing. We're going to run the hearing where we will call 10 people up and we'll seat them in the first 10 rows here. We'll have the public officials speak first and then followed by the public. These are two administrative law judges, Rick Sherman, Lou Alexander. They will call the speakers up individually. When your name is called, please go to the speaker to my left that has the light. I don't think we'll fill up tonight, but if we do, we'll ask that you limit the number of times you re-enter. We will have a 3-minute time limit. At the end of that limit, I will ring this bell to let you know that your time is up. We have a clock that will count down the number of time, the amount of time left. Everyone will be able to see how much time is remaining. And we'll ask that you limit, and please limit your applause, because it gives us an opportunity to get as many speakers in as possible if we can move as quickly as possible and don't have to pause. We have someone here that will be taking notes, a stenographer. She'll try to get everyone's comments. And if people are clapping or applauding or whatever, it prevents her from taking notes accurately. So at this point, I'd like to call our first speakers, and please be seated in the front row. Luane Caldwell, Drew Pishik, Dr. Lisa Barr, Glenn Williams, Joanne Sapola Dennis, Deborah Sapola Dennis, Dale Rowe, Cynthia Barnes, Sandra Steigraber, and I apologize if I mispronounce your name. Lindsay Spear, Ben Perkins, and Alan Nixon. Please come to the front row, and the administrative law judge will call you to speak.
Thank you, Mr. Evans. Good evening. At this time, I will call this hearing to order. My name is Louis Alexander, and I am the Assistant Commissioner for Hearings and Mediation Services at the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation. Presiding over tonight's hearing will be Administrative Law Judge Richard Sherman. We know that emotions are high on the issue before us, but we ask that all speakers be treated courteously. And as Mr. Evans mentioned, this hearing is being stenographically recorded, and we want to make certain that all the comments can be heard by the stenographer. Judge Sherman.
Thank you, Mr. Alexander, and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. As noted, my name is Richard Sherman. I'm an administrative law judge with the department. I've been assigned to conduct tonight's public hearing on horizontal drilling and high-volume hydraulic fracturing. Tonight, we will be accepting verbal and written comments on the following documents: the revised draft supplemental GEIS, the proposed general permit for stormwater discharges, and the associated proposed revisions and amendments to DEC regulations. All of these documents are available for review on the department's website at www.dec.ny.gov. The purpose of tonight's hearing is to receive your comments on these documents. If you wish to make a statement tonight, please complete a speaker registration card and return it to the registration table outside by the lobby. Speakers are encouraged to submit lengthy statements in writing and provide only a summary of their comments here tonight. In order to allow for as many speakers as possible, we are limiting speakers to 3 minutes each. Please be respectful of all those wishing to speak tonight by keeping your comments brief. If necessary, I will ask speakers to conclude their comments. Note that written and oral comments are given equal weight by the department. If you would like to submit written comments after tonight's hearing, you may do so online at the department's website or by sending your comments directly to the central offices in Albany. Department staff has complete contact information in the lobby if you want to send through either of those methods. The contact information was also provided in the notice of public hearing, which appeared in the department's environmental notice bulletin on September 28th. Please note that if you want to submit written comments, they must be received by the department on or before December 12th, 2011. Tonight, Mr. Evans will call groups of speakers to the front of the room to be seated near the microphone. I will then call speakers individually. I will also call the on-deck speaker so that they can be prepared to go forward. When I call your name, please go to the microphone, state your full name and any organization associated with you. Please be sure to speak clearly and directly into the microphone so that the court reporter is able to accurately transcribe your statement. I ask that the audience be respectful of each speaker, regardless of whether you agree with that speaker's opinions. As the others have noted, we need to have the hall quiet during comments so that the stenographer can accurately transcribe the record. We have some elected officials with us here tonight, and we are going to start with them. Our first speaker will be Councilman Pashek. Councilman?
My name is Drew Piaschek. I'm representing the town, people of the town of Plymouth in Shenango County as a councilman here on behalf of our town board. In our town, you won't see Plymouth on any of the top 10 lists of, if you go to Yahoo for any top 10 tourism sites. You won't see Plymouth in the top 10 sites in the world for technology. But what you will see, what we have, are people who work hard to eke out a living to protect our children, our environment, and each other. What we would want to see in the SGEIS and other appropriate regulations, first of all, would be that New York State Department of Ag and Markets be included in the siting process for those wells that are to be sited in agricultural areas. Number two, we don't really want to see any unfunded mandates any further than what we already have. Our budgets are very stressed, and we have to accommodate our primary services in the towns, which our largest one are to maintain our roads. What we would want to see in the SGEIS and in other companion items that go along with it to oversee gas development in this state is an increase in permit fees to ensure proper oversight, that we have sufficient staff and resources to monitor, to continue the appropriate gas development and protect our environment. We ensure local funding too for health departments for water quality baseline testing and follow-up monitoring. If taxation is to be, additional taxation is to be put into place, that we would prefer to see an ad valorem tax rather than a severance tax. But if it is a severance tax, which would be in general, then a significant percentage of that should be returning to the locality that is affected by the gas development, because we will be the ones who have to deal with the ancillary issues associated with gas development. Make sure there is a clear jurisdiction for registering complaints about air and water quality issues that may arise, that the people best suited for that are the local health departments and should be involved.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilman Caldwell, and the on-deck speaker will be Drisha Barr. I'm sorry, Dr. Lisa Barr.
Hello, I'm Luann Caldwell from the town of Windsor, councilman, town of Windsor. The town of Windsor is basically a rural community and is very interested in the well drilling process. As the other fellow spoke, the town does not look to see any more fees imposed that the town has to take care of. Would like to see that anything that is expense-wise would be taken care of by the well drillers, and that we'd proceed there. Would like to make people think a little bit about, I know there's a lot of controversy here, but whether we should do the well drilling or not, but it's a resource that God has given us, and if we take care of things in a way that is proper, that we have regulations to make sure that there's not damage done to the ground and people's water hurt, that it's a resource that we've given that we all need in this state, in this area, especially in the time that money is so tight for everybody, and hope that this will be seriously considered and that we don't drag our feet to where the companies just plain go out of the area and do not come to New York State. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Barr. And the on-deck speaker is Glenn Williams.
I'm challenged. You thought I was taller, didn't you? Yeah. I just sound taller. Thanks. My name is Lisa Barr. I won an award for my environmental journalism in Louisiana. I'm familiar with these characters. I'm an award-winning journalist since 1977. I teach mass media law wherever it pays the best. Right now I'm an organic farmer in Otsego County and working on the documentary Cluster Fracked. You can reach me with complaints or praise at repealpatriotact@gmail.com. The EIS contains none of the recently revealed evidence of contaminated air and water in similar terrain in Bradford County, Pennsylvania. We don't hear the worst of it, the newest water buffaloes and the Geiger counters due to mandatory arbitration clauses in these contracts, which I believe should be outlawed. But worse than this, the industry's own revelations this past week on CNBC, they brag about conducting illegal domestic military psyops on those in Bradford County who complain about this practice. It's a practice which would be deemed criminal activity, but for Dick Cheney's secret 2005 energy meeting cabal, for which there has shamefully been no prosecution yet. No other industry is exempted from the Clean Water Act. As goes the water, so goes the air and the land for growing food. There are claims of illegal access being made to DMV databases by oil and gas company security personnel formerly employed by local law enforcement. Consider, just this week, revelations of illegal collusion between 40 U.S. mayors and Homeland Security to end the right to free speech and free association using violent paramilitarized police. The possibility of industry security contaminating local law enforcement offices seems less like a stupid energy scheme and more like a militarized invasion. I note that Halliburton, no, if you want, repealpatriotact@gmail.com if you want to get a hold of me. I note that Halliburton, one of the frack chemical suppliers, has faced heinous charges of providing contaminated water to the U.S. troops former CEO Dick Cheney proclaims he loves. Aside from the risks to civil liberties, the air, the land, the water, we must also consider the fracturing of, I am being interrupted and I'm going to need more time.
Audience members, you have to be quiet during the comments.
I gave you my email. It's repealpatriotact@gmail.com if you want to get a hold of me. Aside from the risk to civil liberties, the air, the land, and the water, we must also consider the fracturing of the social fabric in fracked areas. My film, Cluster Fracked, is documenting these problems. It's hard to believe a pro-frack DEC is the same agency that increased requirements for an adequate septic system. If DEC fails to ban fracking here, then we must see to it that the agency is put into receivership and a new watchdog agency for New York's air, water, and land, indeed culture, is immediately created to replace this agency. You want jobs? Tell the oil companies to stop blocking solar power. There's a similar town in Germany, the same size as Binghamton. It runs entirely on 50 acres. No, I need more time because they interrupted me. It runs entirely on solar power on 50 acres. We should compensate these people for being bamboozled by these companies, but you should not kowtow to the agents, to the corporations. Thank you.
Thank you. Glenn Williams. And the next speaker will be Joanne Cipolla Dennis.
My name is Glenn Williams. I'm a taxpayer, a local resident, and a landowner. I cannot say anything. You noticed that. Okay. Is that okay? Thanks a lot. Yeah. I can't say anything you don't already know. There's a smell in the air. The only ones that really know what's coming are the top people in the gas industry and most top-level politicians. They are colluding to reap profits from drilling at the expense of all of us. The millions being spent around the clock here on TV offer proof that they are coming, and they know that nothing will stop them. The huge campaign contribution to Governor Cuomo by the Koch brothers does not smell good. Tom Ridge and others now working in the gas industry don't smell good either. The non-disclosure agreements forced on homeowners who have seen their water polluted doesn't smell good. The attempts by landmen to break our landowner coalitions doesn't smell good either. The joy by the one-percenters in watching the environmentalists versus the leaseholders quarrel with each other as a distraction, causing a fracture in our community, and it doesn't smell good. The claims by the gas industry that there have been no complaints in western New York, resulting from many years of drilling by comparatively benign drilling methods, and when the disproof resides in county health department files, the smell isn't good. Local governments vote to prevent drilling, and the gas industry sues to overturn local authority. The smell gets even stronger. Now I lost my place. Okay, when home values are hurt by the proximity of wells, it doesn't smell good. When some of our people contract endocrine disruption and cancer and other medical problems, this doesn't smell good. When some mineral rights are stolen from lease owners by bypass mechanisms, this doesn't smell good. When too much water is stolen from our precious water resources, or when wastewater is dumped illegally into our lakes and streams in the dead of night, that doesn't smell good. When reluctant politicians are told to cooperate less, their reputations be destroyed, it doesn't smell good. When the thousands of miles of pipelines are run wherever the industry wants them, there will be another smell in the air. When the peace and relative tranquility of this valley is taken away, there will be the smell in the air. As the gas industry tells us, the arising problems are often the work of God, not them. This is but a partial list of the smells here. If there is a question of proof of these allegations, let the burden of proof be reversed. Let the industry prove them not to be true. There's a smell in the air.
Thank you. Joanne Cipolla Dennis. And the next speaker, we have two. The next speaker will be Dale Rowe. I'm sorry, there is a second Cipolla Dennis. The next speaker will be Deborah Cipolla Dennis.
Good evening, DEC. Thanks for holding your hearing. I appreciate everybody coming out tonight. This is democracy in action. I now reside in Tompkins County, but I grew up on a dairy farm in the quaint little town of Greene in Shenango County, just over the hill, now a place where both my parents now rest in peace. And I'm going to talk about peace for a moment. It's what I get when I take our dog for a walk in the quiet, clean air of our 33 acres. It's what we all want in life, to be peaceful, healthy, prosperous, and to realize our version of the American dream, to live it out through our golden years, and especially want to know peace at the end of our life. My peace is in jeopardy. As Americans, we treasure democracy, something we have that all the world seems to want, and some are willing to die to establish it. And 235 years ago, the first Americans battled to birth this nation to be free from tyranny of the king, to establish the rights of the people. And as Americans, we are born with the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, and to basic human rights of clean air and clean water. As citizens, we have a duty to be responsible for America's welfare, and I have started a long journey to find the truth about fossil fuel extraction. And I'm sorry to report that I've witnessed the destruction of America across the nation from the inside out, from gas and oil fracking, from gas and oil extraction. The damage has mounted, the air is polluted, water and land, wherever they extract with high volume fracturing. These are the consequences of shale energy extraction. Truth be known, there isn't any shortage of gas according to the Department of Energy. Where we're at maximum storage capacity, the price is $4, down from $14 3 years ago without rebound, and there's so much gas that Dominion seeks to export it. It is far more valuable on the open market than here in America. So a little more of that truth. We don't need to open any additional wells. We are producing gas from existing wells, and the only reason to tap the Marcellus is money, greed, and power. The only people that win are the billionaires, and Americans pay the cost. Many don't even know the devastation, the financial, the social effects that accompany drilling. We're supposed to have rights, to pursue our American dream, to enjoy freedoms, and to be protected under the law until your neighbor signs a gas lease. In the state of New York, a law called compulsory integration makes it legal for my neighbor and a gas company to conspire to wrongfully and knowingly trespass with the intent.
Thank you, ma'am. Deborah Cipolla Dennis. And again, the next speaker will be Dale Rowe. Folks, those kind of outbursts only slow down the process. We want to get as many of your friends and neighbors the opportunity to speak tonight as possible, so please withhold those type of disruptions. Please continue.
Hi, my name is Deborah Cipolla Dennis. It is time for change in our country and this state. I am very proud to be a resident of Dryden, New York. We are currently embattled in a lawsuit slapped on us by the gas industry. I am lucky. I live in a town where the local officials, backed by the residents, have chosen to stand up to this insidious invasion. We in Dryden have chosen to say no to the industry. They are not used to it, they don't like it, but we will prevail in this fight. People throughout the country are losing their tolerance for the corporate manhandling of our government. It is high time that our government officials start listening to the people and start doing their job, protecting the best interest of New York citizens, not international corporations. The people demand it. This hearing is nothing more than a box that must be checked, a feeble attempt to pacify the public. The SGEIS, these hearings, the entire process is a sham. Our thoughts and concerns don't matter to you or to the governor. You are either oblivious or in bed with the gas company. Either is unacceptable. DEC, you are mandated to conserve, improve, and protect New York's natural resources and environment, and to prevent, abate, and control water, land, and air pollution in order to enhance the health, safety, and welfare of the people of the state and their overall economic and social well-being. The truth is that hydrofracking will destroy the health and safety along with the economic and social well-being of 95% of the people located in these future gas zones. This is in direct conflict with your mission. There is no regulation, no law you can pass to stop that. Property values will plummet. Community character will be ruined. Crime will increase. Tourism and agriculture will disappear. These things will happen even if there are no accidents and everything works as it should. This industry is moving backwards and knows that its practices are harmful to people, wildlife, and the planet at large. DEC, if you are true to your mission, you must put down your pen now and realize that this document is not and cannot be in line with your mandate. Governor Cuomo, you have vowed to not allow extreme natural gas drilling unless it can be done safely. Well, that's not good enough. You must look at climate change and how this process feeds the greenhouse gas machine and continues to put our planet at peril. We all know you are grooming the country for your presidential campaign. Do yourself a favor and demonstrate that you are a true leader and look to the future and show that you cannot be purchased by the gas and oil industry. People of New York, you must continue to let your voice be heard. Take to the streets, make them listen. Hydrofracking must not be allowed here. We are in New York, must be a role model for the country. Look to the future, concentrate on renewable energy, take bold steps, and lead, not follow. Do the right thing and protect your state. Ban hydrofracking.
Thank you. Dale Rowe. And the next speaker is Cynthia Banas.
My name is Dale Rowe. I'm a landowner in the town of Barker, and I'm a member of the board of directors of the Joint Landowners Coalition of New York. My comments pertain to section 7.6.4, well design and drilling in the SGEIS. Recommending that you allow multiple pad drilling units. By abutting two 640-acre drilling units together wherever possible, and placing a single well pad straddling the common boundary line, several environmental, landowner, industry, and DEC benefits will emerge, including 1/2 the surface disturbance, one pad instead of two, one gathering pipeline instead of two, one access road instead of two, 7 to 10 acres or more of natural wildlife habitat and productive farmland. Each consolidated drilling unit would remain undisturbed. It would reduce stormwater runoff. Twice the usual number of wells could be located on a single drilling pad. Significant reduction in truck traffic, more efficient drilling rig and ancillary equipment utilization, safer and more efficient handling and recycling of drilling and fracking fluids, improved potential spill containment and remediation, more efficient regulatory activities for the DEC, effectively monitoring 2 well sites in a single location, reduced evaluation time for permits, reduce the amount of Department of Transportation input on road usage plans, effectively reduce the number of roads impacted by heavy traffic, more effectively site pad locations to reduce noise and visual impacts, significant reduction in industry costs, single environmental impact statement rather than 2, reduced site preparation and construction costs, reduced equipment installation, removal and transportation costs, reduced product pipeline costs, potential for multiple fracs with a single setup, more efficient flowback recycling and reduced waste disposal, consolidated noise abatement structures if required. In addition, by allowing all the wells scheduled for drilling on the consolidated pad to be drilled consecutively by the same drilling rig, many of the aforementioned benefits would significantly increase for each of the participants involved. And finally, bring the Minerals Division back into the final review process of the SGEIS. Thank you.
Thank you. Cynthia Banas. And the next speaker, Sanars Steingraber. Sorry about that pronunciation.
Okay, thank you very much. I'd like to say to the people in the audience, whether you're pro-fracking or against fracking, we're all in the same boat. And so I would just like to say these words. I've heard this talk before, I don't know, half a century ago, when the government told us that nuclear power was the greatest. And so a few people were against it because scientists they were. They said, listen, nuclear power is a great thing, but we can't do it until let's put that on the back burner until we solve the problem of what we're going to do with the radioactive waste. And here we are, how many years later? 70, 50, and we haven't solved it. And then just up the road here in Cortland, take a lesson. Andrew's father was there, Governor Mario Cuomo. The people in Cortland County, the people who wanted to put the waste there had all these computer, programs. They said, no problem, no problem. We had public meetings. We had a lot of people who were experienced and intelligent and said we shouldn't be doing this. And finally, the state or whoever's in charge said, no, this is not the proper place to put this radioactive waste. And so all I'm saying is we need more time for this, okay? Because it's going to take 2.5 more years, according to my source and figures, for the studies to be completed before the regulators will know what to regulate. So thank you very much. And one last thing about the jobs. We all want jobs. Well, this shows that according to the Quakers, 60% of our budget goes for the war. Bring our boys home and give them jobs. And everybody, pro or con, we want jobs. We want good for the common good, and we want you really, we need to be one world now. It's not, either we're going to cooperate or we're not going to be. God bless you all.
Thank you. Sanars Steingraber, and the next speaker will be Lindsay Spear.
Good evening. Thanks for this opportunity to speak. My name is Dr. Sandra Steingraber. I'm a biologist at Ithaca College. I live in Trumansburg, New York. The environmental impact statement that will open New York to fracking is 537 pages. That's more than 3 reams of paper. Printed out, it weighs 15 pounds. I myself read the whole document online because the DEC website encouraged me to do so on the grounds that paperless study prevents pollution. In fact, the DEC website tells you exactly how many pounds of air pollution will be prevented if you do so. It's too bad that the 1,537-page document does not inform us exactly how much air pollution will be produced by fracking. 62,000 wells times 1,000 truck trips per well, plus condensers, compressors, pumps. How many pounds of ozone will that create? How much formaldehyde? How much polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbon? How many pounds of benzene? And how many more premature births? How many more cases of asthma, lung cancer, stroke, heart attack? How much lost productivity due to illness? How many additional school days of absenteeism? What are the costs to Medicaid and Medicare? How do these costs compare to revenues generated? Air pollution is a known cause of premature death. How many more funerals? And how did the projected number of additional deaths caused by fracking-related air pollution compare to the number of additional jobs the industry provides? We in the scientific community know how to estimate pollution and project human health impacts from the data, but the SGEIS chooses not to engage in this analysis. It contains no comprehensive health assessment. In the 1,537 pages of the SGEIS, the word children does not appear. The word cancer appears just 10 times. Look in the SGEIS for the words lung, breast, blood, brain, carcinogen, endocrine disruptor. Look for the word pregnancy. You will be looking a long time. The SGEIS emperor has no clothes. It does not protect us. It does not seek to understand the threats to our health posed by this carcinogen-dependent industry. Therefore, as a biologist, as a cancer survivor, and as a mother, I call on the DEC to withdraw the SGEIS, all 1,537 pages of it. Meanwhile, benefit of the doubt belongs to New York's children, to my 10-year-old with asthma, not to the things that threaten them. Thank you.
Thank you. Lindsay Spear, and the next speaker will be Ben Perkers.
Good evening. My name is Lindsay Spear, and I am a member of Neighbors of the Onondaga Nation. We first learned of hydraulic fracturing and shale gas drilling from the Onondaga Nation and the Haudenosaunee Environmental Task Force in 2009. We have been researching the issue for over 2 years, including multiple trips to Dimmock and other places in Pennsylvania. What we saw and experienced is that even when there are no spills or well casing failures, there are significant impacts from the noise and emissions of the completed wells, and particularly the compressor stations, the conflicts between trucks and local road use, and the habitat destruction and fragmentation caused by the pipelines, which are not at all addressed in the SGEIS. We have many concerns with the SGEIS, which will be provided to the DEC in written comments. There's one issue in particular, however, that we'd like to address publicly. The SGEIS mentions the Utica Shale as a target formation for high-volume slickwater hydraulic fracturing. However, the SGEIS does not analyze the impacts of shale gas extraction in these areas. The 3 representative regions studied in the SGEIS are all southern tier, while the Utica Shale stretches as far north as the Tug Hill Plateau. Our researchers, volunteers all, have spent hundreds of hours in the county clerk's office and documented over 1,900 shale gas leases in Onondaga County alone. Indeed, we have heard from hundreds of landowners who wish to now get out of their leases now that they know the scope and scale of the drilling operations being proposed on their farms. So while there's no Marcellus Shale under Syracuse, the Utica Shale is clearly of interest, and the argument that this is solely a southern tier issue holds no water. The impacts to the communities throughout the Finger Lakes and northward either must be taken into account in the SGEIS, or shale gas drilling and hydrofracking cannot be permitted in those areas. Of particular concern to our organization, which works as allies to our neighbors, the Onondaga Nation, is the knowledge that the Onondaga Nation's water supply and the creek that runs through the nation received no attention or protections in the SGEIS, despite a comment letter in 2009 from the EPA to the DEC in support of their concerns. Those of us who have lived in the Syracuse area know the costs of letting an industry run amok. Onondaga Lake is still a Superfund site despite 30 years' work and counting to clean it up. That industry, too, believed that dilution is the solution to pollution, and we've clearly learned the lesson that it is not. The inability of wastewater treatment plants to treat the flowback fluids from hydrofracking is a clear warning bell that high-volume hydraulic fracturing for shale gas is an industry that will have negative impacts on generations to come and should be banned outright. The Haudenosaunee Environmental Task Force called for an outright ban on hydrofracking in 2009, and we encourage the DEC to listen to their wisdom. Thank you.
Thank you.